For over 6 decades, experts have debated the precise moment when boogie-woogie and rhythm and blues merged, tipping the cultural dial into the red, and rock and roll was born.
Well, my mama didn't lie me. She had to stay out all night long.
The vital foundation was laid long before rock and roll hit the mainstream. The true bedrock was set by 1940s blues, skiffle, and jazz singles anthems from legends like Sister Rosetta Tharpe, Arthur Crudup, Fats Domino, and Jimmy Preston. They built the stage. But Chuck Berry delivered the crucial ignition, anointing the electric guitar as the primary voice of this rebellion and lighting the long fuse for the explosion to come.
Just started back doing the things you used to do. Just that cloud started to rain, true to my heart, but past the lane.
Bill Haley politely popularized the term with rock around the clock. But the birth of rock and roll needed more than a polite name. It needed an attitude, an uncontrollable explosion.
We're gonna rock around the clock tonight.
Then, in 1955, the cultural Big Bang arrived. It was the precise, incendiary moment when Little Richard paused his frenzied attack on the piano to deliver the definitive battle cry of the new sound. He let loose the magical, explosive backbeat that roared rock and roll into existence.
Rock to the east, she rock to the west, but she's the gal that I love best. To the booty, oh Rudy, to the booty, oh Rudy.
The key word is attack. While Haley and Berry delivered their rock and roll in a relatively polite manner, Little Richard pummeled his instrument and tore at his songs like a southern Pentecostal beast unleashed. That boundless anarchic energy Little Richard unleashed was a revelatory blueprint for rock and roll's future, teaching every star to embrace the extreme.
You shake my nerves and you rattle my brain. Too much love drives them.
His ferocity was immediately channeled by his contemporaries. Jerry Lee Lewis, the Killer, took Richard's pounding piano style and amplified its visual chaos, treating the instrument like a rival and fueling the frenzy that resulted in every torched piano.
Drive me crazy. Goodness gracious, quit balls of fire.
Elvis Presley, the King, injected that same wild sexualized aggression into his persona. Richard's lack of inhibition gave Elvis permission to transcend polite pop, powering the infamous, captivating gyrations, manifest in his raunchiest hip swivels, that shocked a generation and redefined male sexuality in music. The sheer spectacle of Little Richard served as a living masterclass for rock's next generation. The fledgling Beatles didn't just listen. They emulated him 8 hours a night during their grueling Hamburg years, attempting to channel his volcanic energy.
When our world's all Sally Bill, but its riches gone, everything not on good, baby. Ooh, baby.
The influence was deeply personal. John Lennon was left speechless by the visceral power of Long Tall Sally. Even more directly, when the Beatles supported him in 1962, Richard personally coached Paul McCartney, helping him perfect his signature, soaring whoa. Across the Atlantic, Mick Jagger felt the same profound awe, summarizing the shared sentiment best. I couldn't believe the power of Little Richard on stage. Rock and roll was the music of rebellion, and Little Richard was the living embodiment of that rebellion. He was the outcast from a deeply religious Georgian family due to his effeminate style, cross-dressing, and sexual exploration. Since childhood, he was the loudest kid in the church, to the point of being nicknamed War Hawk for all his screeching. Richard honed his stagecraft by playing devil music with traveling medicine freak shows and on the vaudeville circuits. He found his true persona with a soaring pompadour haircut, a pencil mustache, and heavy pancake makeup, often performing in drag as Princess Lavon. By long before the world was ready, Little Richard was already the living embodiment of rock and roll's revolutionary spirit. By the time anthems like Good Golly Miss Molly and Rip It Up made him public property, he wasn't just a star, he was the established blueprint for transgressive permissiveness and pure shock value. His unapologetic omnisexual attitude, a radical stance on gender and sexuality, was the deep-seated, undeniable root. It was the spark that would eventually ignite the free love explosion of psychedelia and fuel the alien, glamorous androgyny of Ziggy Stardust decades later. Even the original lyrics of Tutti Frutti read, Tutti Frutti, good booty. If it don't fit, don't force it. You can grease it. Make it easy. More than just music, Little Richard's shows broke social barriers, as blacks and whites for the first time left their segregated areas to dance together in the aisles. Unhindered by the teen idol image of his peers, Richard was free to exert an even wider influence. His provocative, sexually charged showmanship paved the way not just for Jagger's Strut, but also for James Brown's sex machine Soul Prowls. His provocative showmanship was also the foundation for Michael Jackson's lascivious disco pop and Prince's groin-centric funk. Great soul artists like Sam Cooke, Otis Redding, and Tina Turner all aspired to his supernatural soul squeals. Elton John learned from Richard's crazed piano magic. Little Richard also acted as a silent mentor. In the mid-60s, he guided Jimi Hendrix, who briefly joined his Upsetters band. Hendrix would later claim, "I want to do with my guitar what Little Richard does with his voice," thereby giving Richard a hand in the development of the psychedelic blues strain that would eventually birth Led Zeppelin. His raw, guttural energy fueled subsequent rebellions. Patti Smith, the godmother of punk, openly declared that Richard's physical, anarchistic, and spiritual energy inspired her to create punk itself. Decades later, his indelible mark reached the hip-hop era. Rolling Stone magazine perfectly captured this timeless power, hailing Outkast's electrifying hit, "Hey, Ya," as nothing less than an indie rock Little Richard. Like many giants of the genre he forged, Richard's life followed the turbulent, predictable arc of the rock and roll legend.
Somebody's coming someday. soon. I know it, I just know.
He, too, succumbed to the familiar pitfalls, struggles with drugs, intense periods of faith and renunciation, lengthy wilderness periods, and dramatic revivalist comebacks. But his impact and confidence never waned.
I know it, I just know. It's of your darkest day. There will be a ship that comes sailing on in. Somebody's coming someday soon.
When announcing his retirement from live performance in 2013, the self-styled innovator, originator and architect affirmed, "I think my legacy should be that when I started in show business, there wasn't no such thing as rock and roll. When I started with Tutti Frutti, that's when rock really started rocking." Half a century has passed. From London to Los Angeles, from classic rock to modern pop, the anarchic energy and the wop bam boom of Little Richard are still reverberating. He didn't just create rock and roll, he defined its soul. What about you? Of all the legends inspired by Richard, who do you think inherited his craziest, most over-the-top energy? Hit the comments and share your favorite track.